Oh, that's going. Okay, yeah.
Okay, camera ready?
We're rolling. Okay. So welcome to the Business Buzz. This is Cengiz at Import Corner here at the Kingman Airport area industrial park. So this is a really cool episode because it's two different episodes in one, in a sense. We're going to learn about your business, but also you're now a city council person. So you have a civic duty and civic mission right now that you're working on. So we're going to kind of talk about both.
Okay.
But I think what most people want to know, because they see all these lights, if you're watching, there are amazing Turkish mosaic lamps all around us. And that was one of the first things that kind of caught my ear when you were talking to somebody. I think it was at Calico's. They're like, "Oh, what is it you do?" And you're like, "Well, we're one of the largest Turkish mosaic lamp importers in the country."
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what that was. So I looked it up and I was like, these are so cool. I actually have a Mexican mosaic light lamp that's shaped like a moon.
Okay.
That my daughter absolutely loves. And now that I know that this is like something that's even big, I mean, these are huge. Some of these are like the size of like 2 or 3 feet across.
Yeah.
So lots of things, are going through my mind. How long have you been doing this? When did you guys get started in it? How long have you been at the airport? Looking up just some brief history. It looks like you've been doing it for about 45 years in this industry. So tell us your story.
So my parents came from Turkey back in 1978. And by 1979, they were in the trade.
Very cool.
Whether my dad was a rug dealer back in Turkey. So it was natural to him.
Mm-hmm.
It was figuring out who needs what and getting it to them. His roots start with the Orange County swap meet. And it was, back then it was brand new and they rode the wave. And before you know it, fast forward, 6 years, by 85, they had started their own factory.
Cool.
Doing brass and copper planters. You'll see them from as local as Mission Bank on Walnut Road to the MGM and all the planters they had their big trees through the hallways.
Yeah, okay.
By 96, they'd moved from California to Arizona back to Kingman.
Mm-hmm.
My dad likes to joke that's where his gas ran out.
Oh, okay.
But it's true. We are one gas tank away from Orange County beaches. So,
yep.
After 96, we moved here. By 98, we'd slowly started to transition from brass and copper into my mom starting a small little corner in the front that had where she started selling plaster busts along with our planters.
Is that the name, Import Corner?
We were started out as home and garden accessories.
Okay.
On the retail side.
Yeah.
It was very generic. And it was what it was.
Yeah.
Over time, as brass and copper kind of faded, my mom's enterprise kind of started to take over the factory, moving towards the back, room by room.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, we're here.
Yeah.
Like we
20,000 square feet, I think.
Yeah, just about inside and outside.
Yeah.
We have everything from vases and fountains to our Turkish mosaic lamps, along with our ceramics.
Mm-hmm.
To old wagons from my parents' villages.
Oh, how cool.
That we import. We, send the proceeds back.
Mm-hmm. A lot of metal artwork I've been seeing, the Route 66 genre, Americana stuff.
So we are wholesalers at heart still.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't die away with the factory.
Right.
We just transitioned. So we had a lot of home and garden stores in the Southwest. We had a lot of people that were along Route 66. So it felt natural, to go into Suns and Cocopelli's and Route 66 decor. It's, what you find out there is very generic. It's the black and white shield or the white and black shield or the red and blue shield, but it's usually the same thing you see in every garage. And we want to shake that up. So we've got all sorts of designs, everything from wall art to tabletop.
Even I saw on your website a ceramic bowl with the shield painted
So
into
that's
it.
something new that we started.
That's cool.
It is still a work in progress, but it's getting there. Like it should be ready to launch come um, this July.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not just the Route 66. We'll have Coco Pellies and Suns and
Okay.
Lizards and very Southwest themes
Yeah.
associated. And it's like a fusion between the Southwest US and Turkey.
Yeah. 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 Very cool. I mean, it's actually pretty amazing too. And it's nice to see something like this because I think a lot of Kingman residents, me included, I had heard about you. I had known people that have ordered things from you. I had heard that you had a place physically that you could go to. I had seen some of your Turkish towels before that you had imported at one point. And so I knew quality was there. I just never took the time to come over here and actually check it out.
Yeah.
And way bigger than I thought, way more expansive of different product lines. I mean, just a whole bunch of different variety of things and stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else, which is so unique. I think a lot of people in Kingman specifically, they leave to go shopping for unique items. They leave and go to Vegas or Phoenix, or they get out of the area not realizing that we do have unique products like these, right here, right 5 minutes from town. I mean, it's really cool to see.
And that was a big thing for us. We are known as one of the best kept secrets of Mojave County. A lot of people, we wish more people knew about us. At the same time, we want to make sure that we are worth the drive. We are off the beaten path. We are 8 miles from city limits, out at the Kingman Airport. And it would be a shame to come all the way out here and just find a little shop you could tour in 5 minutes and leave with nothing or, not be impressed. So we make sure that we get stuff in here that you're not going to find at the big box store. You're not going to find at, anywhere else. Very unique collection, all handpicked, all, we vet for quality. We vet for price. Everything goes in through a formula and comes out, and with reasonable prices. And we make sure that, we stay competitive, especially post-COVID. During COVID, when supply chains were disrupted, this whole industry took a huge
I bet.
shake. And I have friends that didn't make it. I have friends that thrived in it. And there's a very clear distinction between who did and who didn't. It's whether you were unique and one of a kind, or you were, a cut of the cloth and just a regular, curio shop or something.
So what are some of so that's obviously a major tribulation, the trial. I mean, to the testament of being a business owner is going through something like COVID. I mean, everybody was impacted differently, and I agree with you. It was like there was no in between. It was like some people did great, some people did horrible. Like the middle ground was just completely gone. I owned retail stores during that, but they were communication stores, so they were a necessity, extremely busy. I knew some of my clients in my marketing world were restaurants and bars. They still thrived because Arizona had such lax rules on masking and closures that a lot of the people from California were just coming over and leaving town and getting to Arizona and spending their money. But then there was other industries that like hotels, they just completely lost their bums on the whole closures of the hospitality world and the big restaurant chains. The truckers had a lot of issues because of that, and so you started getting these strikes. And truckers are distribution. Distribution is everybody needs it, And so there was such a dynamic thing. But prior to COVID, what do you think some of your biggest obstacles that you guys have had seen on because you're such a unique business, you're importing things from around the world, versus. And you're supplying people who are actually purchasing your products, which is funny. I noticed on Fair that you guys are a Fair wholesaler, which is really cool. A lot of shops in town use that. But they don't. But when you're a small business and you're dealing with Fair, you're not understanding the dynamics of the actual wholesale end of how those products get to Fair. It's kind of like going to the grocery store and getting your groceries. You just care that they're there and what the price is, but you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So what is something that you guys have encountered over the years, over the last 40 something years as a family business, and how did you overcome it? Or How did you adapt and change and decide, well, we're not going to go that route? I mean, you talked a little bit about the copper business, and pricing just went crazy. And so you decided, you know what, let's try this other angle, and it ended up growing and outgrowing the other.
So before COVID, I think our biggest lack was our digital and web presence.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's across the board. Our industry as a whole has always been go see it, touch it, see their showroom, and get to, figure out your order and place it while you're there. Wholesalers didn't have fair. They didn't have, there was no such thing as a wholesale e-commerce website.
Right.
The thought was even inconceivable. People were like, how could you? But no, comes to find out, people love ordering on a Friday or Saturday night with a glass of wine.
Yeah, right.
In the comfort of their
They're virtually
home.
shopping and touching.
And with it comes some growing pains and headaches,
Oh yeah.
It's like Amazon. If someone doesn't like your stuff,
Right.
it gets returned without a second thought.
Yeah.
And it is your litmus test, basically.
Yeah.
It's making sure your quality is up to par.
Yeah.
Not selling junk.
Yeah.
Because if you are, you're not going to carry a
Right.
5-star rating on Fair. You're not going to get the business over again.
Right.
Repeat business. It's never about the first sale. It's always about the relationship you build with that customer and clientele.
Yeah.
So we've upped everything. We've gone on. We've amped up our website. We got on Fair. We started, using newsletters. And now our biggest thing is timing and shipping.
Yeah.
So shipping now, post-COVID, shipping has been ridiculous.
I bet. Yeah.
Whether it's profiteering from the ship companies or just the cost of fuel for the truck companies,
Right.
really takes a toll on us.
Oh, for sure.
A container that used to cost $3,000 before COVID is my next one coming is going to be costing almost $10,000.
Wow.
And that's triple the cost. For something that the items inside don't shrink.
Yeah, right.
It's still the same amount of items.
Right. And that, I think, is a good part to understand how inflation works. This is an example of inflation. Inflation is a variable from interest rates from the federal government, but the trickle effect to every single other country that works with the United States means that these shipping companies have an opportunity to, like you said, profiteer off of this and act like it's an inflation cost. Act like we know their fuel costs didn't triple. We know that the labor cost did not triple. Why would the cost to you triple?
Yeah.
And I think that's been a scary thing. And it triggered right around COVID when you started seeing the PPE products skyrocketing in price because the demand was high, but there was profiteering happening. And that influx of cash from the federal government that went to consumers to spend, when you looked at the profit margins and the actual the net profits to the big companies like Amazon, it was the highest they've ever recorded. And they decided to continue to try to run that train as long as they can. And you're seeing it with shipping, which is sad to hear it all the way on that end of it. The products as they enter the country, we're already having that happen before it's even in the stores.
The crazy thing is it never got a break.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, that $3,000 container, all the containers first off were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, I bet.
So China didn't have containers or Turkey didn't have containers. Like you asked where the containers were, but they were stuck in ports with no workers.
Yeah.
And no one to unload them or load them back onto boats.
Yeah.
And as stuff started to move and trickle again after that May in 2020, like come July, I think that summer was our first container after the fact. And it cost me almost $12,000 for that one container, right? And that was, my highest peak was around 14.
From 3 to 14.
From 3 to 14 for a 40-foot high cube container.
Wow.
And that's including trucking. So
from there to here.
From Long Beach to here.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Or LA to here.
Yeah.
So we get disembarked. And that truck used to be around 800. This one that's coming in is probably close to 2,500. Just for the trucking part.
Yeah.
And then after that, it dipped a little bit. we got down to like the 9s, and then we got down to like the 6s. And I think, if I remember correctly, Ukraine happened.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then that one kind of caused like a 1,000 to like a little bump,
Mm.
not a crazy bump. And then it came back down after that, started dying out again. And I got back down to like 6 and 5 again.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever happened this year, it happened.
I think
I
just
mean,
the
after
year of
October-
politics, I feel like the year of politics gets so it stews people so much that stuff like price gouging and inflation that's not being accurately reported on the actual real rate, because the consumer side rate is closer to 40% increase across your common goods. I think that creates what Jim Hinckley would call muddying the water,
Yeah.
where people don't even know, like, if I put a can of peas in front of you and 10 other people, I'll get 10 different prices, all probably 300 to 400% variance. You would say 99 cents, they would say $1.29, they would say $1.99. You get this muddying and confusion happening, and the year of politics is the time to do it, which is unfortunate because that's when people really are the most kind of anxious of what's going to happen after, November.
So this year, actually, I come to think of it, 2 very significant things did happen. One, October 7th, with the attacks on Israel,
Oh yeah.
caused the start of that war,
Yeah.
and it has boiled into the Red Sea
Mm-hmm.
and closed that port, that channel,
Mm-hmm.
the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, down for business. So now a ship going from China to Europe has to go all the way around Africa,
Wow.
around the Cape
Yeah.
and the Horn. And that has increased shipping times for that trip from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, let's say,
Yeah.
hypothetically.
Yeah.
Definitely an increase.
Yeah.
Also, the Baltimore Bridge coming down, the Channel Bridge coming down, affected the industry in a way that no one thought, oh, wow, this was ever going to happen.
Right.
And it's one of the busiest ports on the East Coast.
Right.
So now you've got this influx of business or shipping coming to New York and Miami and Houston, which were also ports that we've used Norfolk in the past. We've done workarounds where now our Turkish containers all have to come to LA.
Right.
Which means they have to go through the Panama Canal.
Okay.
Which it's another, going around Africa situation.
Yeah.
Everything just gets longer. The trips use more fuel.
Right.
And then the really sad part about the shipping debacle is that the quality of goods has shrunk, like gone down, not shrunk. The quality, the item itself has shrunk.
Yeah.
So you'll find containers that are filled with knickknacks, little stuff. All your furniture will come in particle board, knockdown, IKEA style.
Yeah.
No one's shipping big single piece items anymore.
They're just trying to find ways to keep their margins, or they're trying to...
Like our couch, we can only fit, 20, 30 couches in one container.
Right. And when you take $10,000 in shipping costs, divide it all out, and the shipping per item
so now
becomes non-sustainable.
The couches that you have now are either really bad quality or really expensive.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
We were, my dad had said, never be afraid of the storm because it'll clear up eventually.
It's true.
And so what we do is we tend to stock up when others are panicking. We're buying.
Yeah.
We had, when shipping was down and the ocean prices were high, we didn't really suffer that much from that.
Yeah.
Because we had everything in our warehouses.
Right.
Whether it's in LA or in Houston.
Yeah.
So yeah, quality went down.
It's a real struggle.
We started innovating too. And during COVID, toilet paper.
Oh yeah.
PPE. The stuff. Food.
Sanitizer. Food. Yeah.
All of those necessities.
Yeah.
Were awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome commodity in business to be in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's really tough when you're not a necessity.
Yeah, exactly.
We sell decorative accessories.
Yeah, exactly.
We aren't a necessary need. We're a want.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes us stay even more on edge.
Yeah, you have to be really strategic.
So you have to really make sure that you're
controlling your hard costs, controlling anything like
Just
that.
managing your business.
Managing your business, but at a different level. You're right, though. The industry of the wants, not the needs, is definitely right now. Like, all my clients that are in that arena. So things like, a company that might do remodels of basements, a company that does floor epoxy coatings and concrete, stuff, things that aren't absolutely necessary. They all are seeing a major impact from inflation. Of course, in real estate, and and a lot of the transactions are coming due to real estate, because all the Californians moving into Arizona to lower their cost of living, and they have such equity in their homes that they're paying cash. So some of the jobs are becoming just kind of gutted, like, oh, we need to sell this house, we just need something here, and we don't want the quality, we just want to get it done as cheap as possible. So it is definitely a stressor for
It's across the board.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get everything out on time,
Right.
regardless of condition.
Right.
And you see it especially in the digital world.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's a video game that gets released, you're paying AAA prices, but you get something that ends up needing to be patched over and over again. Yeah. Or movies that just feel lackluster. Yeah. And you're still paying, $18 or $20 for a ticket. Yeah. Or we saw it actually about a year ago, I think it was, or close to a year ago. You saw like Disney, like the large production companies, reduce the quantity of shows that they were going to release that following year, reducing their overall budget per episode of the shows that they were going to continue to do, but they raised their prices of the streaming services. Disney did it, Netflix did it, Amazon did it. They all literally decided to increase price of service, but reduce the dollars they were putting into the productions and the quantity. Is that shrinkflation? Does that count?
That is, yes, I consider that. Yeah. We had on the beat, we had a viral video go on our TikTok channel, and it was me at Target. I won't say which one, the only one in the area, down in Bullhead. And I was shopping, and I was like, oh, to my wife, I'm like, oh, we need dish soap, don't we? Yeah, we need dish soap. So I went over and looked at the Dawn dish soaps, and there was 2 containers, and it said $9.99. And I grabbed the first one and looked at it, and I just sometimes look at the ounces, just to see. And I noticed the ounces. I can't remember what it was. It was like 12 ounces. And then I looked at and then I just happened to glance at the price sticker, and it said 9 ounces. And I was like, oh wait, which one is this one then? I'm looking for the price sticker that says the right ounce amount, right? And then I'm like, wait, there's only 2 of these 12-ounce ones left. All of them are 9 ounces. They look exactly the same. In my video, I show them. Same height, same width. I think they carved out a little bit on the bottom like they do peanut butter and jelly. And it was the exact same item, but one was 3 ounces less. And it was the same price. It was the last remaining of that particular SKU. Wow. Legit shrinkflation in action on a shelf. Proof in the pudding right there. And the video, of course, went viral because of it, because that's happening all over the place. And what's crazy is that you're actually getting a combination of shrinkflation and overcharging. So it's one thing to reduce the size of something, which means you're paying more per ounce or per whatever the measurement is on it, but to also at the same time charge more, which is like the Disney and the Netflix. They're going to charge you more for service, but give you less of what you were getting before. So it's like a double. It's happening on both ends of it, which is really where it gets very frustrating. Internet companies are doing that. Cell phone companies, not to poo-poo on T-Mobile. I owned those stores for years and years and years, but they just announced a big price increase. You're not getting anything more. They're just charging you more. For whatever reason.
Even into it, QuickBooks is.
Yeah.
They went up from, they almost doubled the price.
It's becoming
for the same program.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 2024 version that I already have.
Yeah.
My annual subscription is now double the price.
I got to look at mine. Wow, that's scary. So mine was like $100 a month. Yeah. Before, I hope it doesn't go up more. But it's becoming a thing, and it's like it makes you question. Us business owners, we love capitalism. That's like the name of the game. But I think over the last 50 years, capitalism has there was a period in history where monopoly laws had to be created specifically to avoid the steel, rail, and oil companies from taking over the planet, and the monopoly laws went into effect, and they were fair, Some people didn't think they were fair, but they were fair, and they helped to create competition, which helps to level out pricing and reduces price gouging. Gas gouging laws and price gouging laws, price fixing laws, all these things started legislation to kind of control, kind of tame and capitalism from getting out of control. And we're kind of getting into this era where it's some businesses are just going out of business because of how big these remaining entities are, and it's creating a non-competitive market where they can dictate the price of overall goods, and that is a scary world to live in.
And I mean, it's all about the dollar now.
Yeah.
I mean, so you saw what happened with Red Lobster.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't an all-you-can-eat shrimp debacle that put them under.
No.
It was that a private equity firm bought them out, sold their land, sold it back, like started leasing their land back to them.
Yeah, made it
with jacked up
unaffordable
prices, and they just couldn't keep it going with it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. You killed the brand.
Yeah.
For lining some hedge funds' pockets with real estate money.
Yeah.
And it was really sad. Like,
it is.
Not gonna say I've eaten a Red Lobster, but
but just to see it,
to see a whole brand get destroyed like that, it was shocking.
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't because of mismanagement.
Right.
It wasn't because of health code violation.
Right. It was due to corporate greed of a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we see. And we talked about, I think, a little bit that one day that we were chit-chatting outside of Calico's about just these private equity companies that are buying up homes, neighborhoods, renting them to people. But they're taking advantage of all of the benefits of being homeowners, the depreciation and appreciation and the equity that you gain. I mean,
tax write-offs.
The tax advantages from owning it versus renting it. We could end up in the next 20 or 30 years a renter world, a renter nation, where these huge companies will own it all. I mean, you'll have to ask to be able to drive into a neighborhood. You'll have to pay a toll to drive through a neighborhood.
Recently, I think it was last night, I was driving around and I heard on the news that this upcoming generation, their 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds with permits or driver license, it's the lowest it's ever been.
Oh,
like where
I believe that.
A driver license in a car used to be a rite of passage.
Yeah, right.
Now it's like you have Uber, Uber Eats, so you don't really need to go out.
Right.
In cities like Kingman, I think you need a car.
I would think.
But like in places like New York, you don't.
Yeah, right.
Why would you? I wouldn't want a car in New York.
Right.
With the increased parking space prices, parking prices, and
eventually the autonomous vehicles will just drive everybody everywhere.
along with houses, eventually you might lose out on cars as well. Or owning a car might be something that's not a mandatory necessity anymore.
We'll probably look back in 30 years and it's going to be all like dormitory living. All the younger kids get
I'm
older.
Optimistic. I'm very hopeful. Like, I don't think I remember when Zillow bit the bullet.
Oh yeah,
and especially down like the Tucson area where they bought all these houses based off of this algorithm.
Yeah,
and then they were
that didn't work out well.
We're under. Gotta start selling these.
Bad idea.
Big loss on it.
Yeah,
and good. I mean, I'm glad their algorithm failed because that would have been really bad.
Right.
And now it brought stuff to light. Like they're talking about how private private enterprise can't own residential property more than 2 or 3 units.
That's
unless it's like special code. I mean, obviously there's no law or anything in place yet, but
it's probably necessary.
It's been discussed.
Yeah,
like it's a conversation that's being had, whether it's in Washington or in the Arizona Capitol.
Yeah, and it's a really important point. It even goes as far as who owns the lands that that people are farming, and if you have a private entity that owns 80% or 90% of all the farmland in the United States, that there's an inherent problem from that can be devastating to the entire population. Yeah.
One of the things that helped us in World War I and World War II is we owned all the factories. We had all of our own farmland. We were self-sustaining.
Right.
As we've globalized, as we've opened, and we are globalized. The world itself, whether you want it to be or not, is globalized with the internet, with the way that shipping works, with the way that the factories are now around all over. Because now that COVID happened and we had
we learned the
taxes
lesson
on China.
Yeah.
These taxes on China aren't stopping them. They are now, like when you go to talk to a Chinese manufacturer about a product, they say, don't worry, we have a factory in Singapore, or we have a factory in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You'll notice if you buy furniture anywhere,
Yeah.
half the time it's made in Vietnam now.
Oh, right.
Because
okay.
they don't have crazy prices. If
They
you
don't
want
have
to
to
get
have
cabinetry from China,
Yeah.
it's like 100% tax tariff.
Oh, wow.
They call it the
okay.
Trump tax.
Yeah. I remember that whole went into it.
But if you get it shipped from, I think it was Cambodia,
Yeah.
it's like 10% or something.
So so you just build factories in countries that aren't
So that's what
tariffed
they
so
do.
high. Wow.
And another thing that's happened
That
that
always
we have to
happens.
compete with is that Chinese factories are now shipping direct.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Temus and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Temu, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But
I've never actually worked
that
on it.
orange logo.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows the quality you're getting.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the price you're getting, and then the shipping time. It's not overnight because it's coming
So
from
Amazon
overseas.
Prime. Yeah, yeah.
And that's something that we have to compete with. It's really hard to compete against $3 vases when you're selling $100 vases.
Right.
But our $100 vases are made with banana leaf. They have gold foil in them and are unique in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
The other thing the reason why I follow the housing, especially the ownership versus rental, is because 90% of my clientele is homeowners.
Right.
People don't decorate homes, they rent.
Right. They don't invest in the decorations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people don't do up the yard unless they own the home.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have to be aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
Our market is always evolving.
Yeah.
And Kingman is booming.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be part of people's homes. We take pride in that. I
like that about the about statement on your website. It was really nice. It was like, your home is where you want to have you want to feel yourself, be creative, make yourself creative like you are. And this gives you that outlet. Not everybody's going to be sitting around trying to make one of these things. I could only imagine it's pretty tedious, but they're beautiful and they're ornate.
I tried making one. I said, this is your job, my friend.
You're right.
I'll sell it. You make it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're works of art. Each one.
Oh, for sure.
And we've really innovated the industry.
Oh, cool.
So basically my cousin in Turkey. Let's start at the beginning. Parents started and the retail aspect of it in 98. And then I was still in school, in high school. I grew up in the store, basically selling fountains and rugs.
Very cool.
People that would come in on my off days. 2007, I graduate. I leave for the U of A. I was pre-med. I have issues with the insurance industry and all of that. So I went into ecology and biology as my majors. I just finished that up. I was going to go into master's into some ecology program, but it wasn't worth it. At the same time, I wanted to be around my parents so I could take care of them a little bit and just be there when they needed, son to be there.
Yeah. Definitely a family business, Yep.
And then so I graduated from college in 13. I had another side gig going down there. I sold out of that in 16 and then came up here. And my dad was like, okay, if you're going to do this, you need to know from the roots of what you're doing.
Right.
My cousin in Turkey was at the time starting to do these on a scale. And I said, this is my heritage. This is one of the coolest items. I've always been in love with them.
Yeah.
Coolest items I've ever seen. And I asked him, hey, you want to do this? And he said, sure. At this point, we are the largest importer in the U.S. for Turkish mosaic lamps. We have plenty of designs that are proprietary and unique to us. We started doing interior custom designs as well.
Oh, cool.
So if you go down to the Payson Golf Club, they have a big 3 or 4 story building there, and their atrium around the stairwell, we put this giant,
how cool,
40-yard chandelier.
How cool.
Yeah, in this style with this.
Yeah, just coming down like a. Is there something significant with the shape? Is there a meaning
So we do 2 shapes.
Yeah.
So the history of the lamp is it was so back in the 1700s during the Ottoman Empire, the art and glass district got together to work on a collaborative gift for the Sultan of the time. And they came up with these mosaic lanterns. They originally holding candles.
Right.
and they have 3 chains open top. I have a couple
Yeah.
up front I can show you. But they loved it. You'll find them all over the houses during that time. Sometime during the 1890s, Henry Tiffany apparently saw these. By 1903, he brings it to the Chicago World Fair, gets a round of applause, and that's like the beginning
Of Tiffany's.
of Tiffany lamps.
How cool.
I think the design aspect is to keep it shorter because the candles inside, the flame would be like in one spot,
Yeah.
and it would help
Just for
emanate to the sides rather than
Interesting.
towards the top.
Oh, that's
So you
smart.
didn't have a bunch of dark space at the top.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I knew there was something to it.
But we have round
Yeah,
styles
I've
as
seen
well.
around. Yeah, because you're not dealing with candles necessarily anymore.
Yeah,
you do have
so
some candle holders,
We
but
have everything from a 3-inch shade all the way up to a 24-inch shade.
wow.
At that point, the glass just starts getting too heavy, too crazy.
right.
And
Yeah.
we've got big floor lamps.
There's rumors that there is a Tiffany lamp still at the Hotel Beale down in the basement,
Oh,
and they're about to work on the facade improvement program, and hopefully some communication opens up
wow.
with the manager of kind of the property now. We might be able to see if we can get them unearthed and
That would
maybe
be so cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Like an original.
yeah. So
Wow.
that's kind of a cool thing.
I didn't know.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, and I didn't know that this was inspiration behind those types of that style that he was using.
Yeah, and
So cool.
you know, you always take it with a grain of salt. Who knows
Yeah,
how much of it is legend?
Nice folklore, though.
Yeah.
Either way.
And then so
you're working with your
I
cousin.
told my
He's
cousin, like,
he's
let's
working
do
on
it.
it.
During that time, you know, everyone was, you in your workshop at home
Yeah.
would be like, okay, I can make a couple designs that would fit this shade. So
Yeah.
you would start producing metal. Another place over here would say, oh, I'm going to work on some of the glass.
Oh,
And
how cool.
so what you end up having back then
Yeah.
was this mishmash of
That
parts and
fits.
pieces that may or maybe don't fit.
Right.
Um,
No standardization.
we
in a
brought
sense.
everything in one roof,
Very
under
cool.
one house, doing everything just to our sense. We don't
Yeah.
sell in Turkey anymore.
Oh, okay.
So if you go to the Grand Bazaar, you'll still see that mishmash
Yeah.
of
Okay.
crazy. The only place in Turkey that we sell is at the international airport in Istanbul that they just opened up,
Yeah.
and the gift stores there.
Yeah.
We were selected for that.
Cool.
But everything else, you'll
Yeah.
find wires that aren't up to code. You'll find
Okay.
switches that don't work. You'll
Gotcha.
find cables, sockets that come with, you know, plugins for Peru or something.
Right. Yep.
Here we are very adamant about our sockets, our cables, our cords and bulbs. We even manufacture our own light bulbs to make sure we keep that
Uh-huh.
2.5 watt consistency.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's no heat. None of
Yeah.
our lights are
People
hot.
also their LED 2.5.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Very
The
cool.
bigger bulbs like this one actually do use a bigger standard A19 light bulb that you would put in your desk lamp at home.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But most of them use that E12 candelabra light bulb.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the problem is it didn't fit in everything. So we had to innovate
Yeah.
and
Reshape
make
it in a
something
sense.
shorter that
That like
provided
that
as
right
much
there?
light. Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
how cool. Okay.
So cob lights
Yeah.
is what we call them. And then now we've got
So
you know,
cousin's still running the show. Oh, very cool.
over
Okay.
there. And then here we've got you know, as soon as we could, you know, I started designing my own designs.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And we're at the point where when I put out a design, within 2 or 3 weeks, it gets knocked up by China
Oh, yeah.
or something. You know,
Yeah.
we get competition right off the bat.
Right.
So, which is
They're watching.
I take it as a badge of pride.
Right.
Like,
that's
that
what they
we're at
say.
the forefront.
Yeah, exactly.
People are
Imitation
now.
the finest form of flattery, or whatever that quote is. Imitation is the finest form of finest
I'll
form.
take flattery.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
And we've started to grow my designs as well. Like now we're getting into metal wall art, which are proprietary designs,
Mhm.
designs to us.
You should start doing your own, like the Cengiz collection.
It's getting there.
Okay, yeah,
Getting
I was gonna say that it's built around certain elements of your life and you build a whole collection off of a certain aspect of the way you see the world.
The wonderful thing about Import Corner is it's not just Cengiz.
Right.
We've got like these gazebos that you see on either side.
Yeah.
These are all made by a wonderful artist down in Mexico.
Beautiful.
one, and he just passed away. So these are the last that will be coming that type.
Yeah.
But we really liked enjoying. We really like to highlight his work for
Yeah.
the last 5-6 years that we've been carrying it.
Yeah.
And we've got other artists in here too.
Yeah.
We've also got, we're never afraid to bring something in. Like we just started our spinner wall, and we've really invested in this section.
Oh, cool.
Kingman and the Mojave
for
County
sure.
area is known for winds,
Yes.
and we made
Yes.
sure that our spinners are up to par. They
Yeah.
can deal with it. Our bearings are, one of the best bearings out there for spinners.
Yeah,
I know it's such a
bearing
topping, but
yeah, it's a whole
you'd be
category.
surprised.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
They don't make noise when they spin. They
Very
spin
cool.
rigorously.
Yeah.
They don't fall apart in the wind, which is
Right.
huge for us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're very confident selling it. We, everything from fake flowers to the suns.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we
Yeah.
have our Turkish ceramics, the ones that you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier that had the Route 66
Yeah.
design on them. We went through quite a bit of work to make sure that they were food safe,
Oh, yeah.
so people could use them
Yeah.
with their salsas, with their
Right.
guacamoles, and they're still safe to put, your rings and your salt in,
Oh, okay.
whether it's, trinkets or
Yeah.
a pinch bowl,
Right.
whatever you want to do.
That's cool.
They're good for those.
Yeah, very pretty, ornate, ceramics. That's I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So where do you see the future of Import Corner? You said that you adjusted during COVID, realizing we need a web presence. You created relationships, I'm guessing right around that time with Fair maybe or after. So you had a wholesale outlet of a large e-commerce brand. Do you see the evolution of your online presence utilizing possibly, the shopping mechanisms through social platforms to expanding, maybe more investment in the website where it's a little more deeper testimonial videos of people working with the products? I mean, what is your scope on what's happening next?
So we don't necessarily sell e-commerce B2C.
Yeah, because you're not consumer facing, primarily wholesale.
We're not, and we don't want to compete against our.
Oh, that makes
wholesalers.
sense too. Yeah.
So that's huge for us. Like,
Yeah, good point.
there was a time where we were like, oh, hey, let's get on TikTok or
Right.
let's get on, and blow up the e-com aspect of this thing and do direct to.
Yeah.
That's not where we're at.
Right.
We, if a customer comes in and sees the whole line, they're more than welcome to shop here, and they'll
Right.
get wholesale pricing.
Yeah.
But they're getting the same price as another business would get.
Yeah.
And that's something we're pretty adamant about. Like,
Right.
what you find here isn't marked up twice or 3 times.
Right.
And it makes us very flexible. So
Yeah.
we close every year for the month of August.
I saw that on the door. Yeah.
So that's our time for our buying trip. During that
Yeah.
time, we'll move stuff around in here.
Yeah.
In the meantime, one of us or 2 of us will do our buying, go to different places, do some buying.
Yeah.
I have my trade shows that I do my wholesale booths at, whether it's in Vegas, Dallas, or Atlanta, or my mom's in Turkey right now, for example. We did, we'll throw in a couple of different countries to make sure like last year, we did Japan. Oh, very cool experience.
Yeah.
It's all work, you're going from place to place to see product.
Yeah.
The food is where it's always at. That's my vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are you more focused when you travel like that, like in August, are you more focused on possible new products to bring in or wholesale relationships to sell to or both?
Both. So
Okay, so
kind
they're
of has their
purpose.
team. Like,
Yeah.
whereas Nora, my mom, and Andy are more the buyers at this point for a lot of the main aisles.
Yeah. Okay.
I handle Turkey and Mexico.
Yeah. Okay.
And the US. So we have, like I said, we represent 50 countries. It's become a lot easier and a lot less load to try and meet with all these different factories now that you can do it over Zoom.
Right.
Or with emails. We've figured the system out since COVID.
Yeah.
So it's not so much. It's now you get to really look for those unique items. Like we got to find the gazebo artists or like these benches. These are made in Sonoma, California.
Oh, cool.
So we like to also represent US. We'll do a trip to whether it's a woodworker somewhere or a metal worker somewhere.
That's cool.
We'll
Yeah.
make, August is very much housekeeping. We'll do an
Yeah.
inventory on the whole store.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that our shelves are stocked.
Mhm.
We'll
Is
do
it
some spring cleaning.
seasonal business or pretty consistent because you're dealing with wholesalers? Do they is there like holiday shopping period?
So retail is very
up and down.
up and down.
Yeah.
Like it has its season.
Yeah.
The season comes and goes with the snowbirds.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So when starting with Black Friday
Yeah.
or beginning of November,
That's when
we
it
get an
picks up.
uptick,
Yeah.
and then even October.
Mhm.
Sometimes October has that uptick,
Yeah.
and then it goes pretty much until April
Mm-hmm.
and Memorial Day. Once the Memorial Day
Yeah, it
hits,
slows back
you know,
down, yeah.
everyone's already traveling away or
Yeah.
like in summer vacation mode,
Right.
and that's when my trade shows start. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
kind of
Okay.
work out.
Yeah. That were. Yeah.
Wholesale is pretty much the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
People are busy, and it's almost across the country. Summers tend to be bad just because people are on vacation.
Yeah.
So for our industry, that's a very and then right after Christmas, those tend to be the two times that are very
Lulls.
lulls. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are recuperating from Christmas shopping.
Right.
They're restocking so wholesale ticks up,
Yeah. Yeah.
retail goes down. So
Right.
it works out.
Yeah. That's good. We'll ebb and flow with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this something that do you have kids?
I have one daughter.
Okay. Is she interested in this type of thing or is she too young to really
She
care?
loves it.
Oh, okay.
She is 2.
Okay. So it's fun.
She
Colors,
comes here. She
stuff everywhere.
You'll find a bowl in the middle of a fountain or
Yeah.
like in the bottom of a fountain.
How'd that get in there?
Like, hey.
Yes.
But she's actually been really helpful. I
Yeah.
figured out that she likes the dust.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'll give her a rag,
Yeah. There you go.
and
funny.
she just does her thing.
Yeah. Good.
When she comes in, it is I look forward to one day teaching her the ropes.
Yeah.
And getting
Yeah.
involved.
Did your parents think that you would someday go into this business with them? Or did they have any hopes or aspirations for that? Did they expect you to go a different direction and then you all of a sudden were like, you know what?
So it was pre-med.
Yeah, that's what I
the
mean.
longest time.
So that
So-
was,
Ever since college, high school.
yeah, you were
Basically.
thinking of that.
My whole track was pre-med, volunteering in ER. And that was when I actually had my eye-opening,
Your moment
my
where,
experience where this guy didn't want to lift because he wished he died so that he could, instead of paying all the bills, his family would have gotten
oh my gosh.
life insurance settlement.
Right.
And it was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's like, even in today's America, even if you have health insurance,
Right.
it's a bunch of loops and
Yeah.
obstacles you gotta jump over or through,
Yeah.
and they make it so difficult.
Yeah.
And it's really disappointing to see, a country that's one of the top spending in healthcare
Yeah.
doesn't have
Yeah.
a system like Japan's
Right.
or Norway's,
Right.
and we were once a victim of greed again,
Mm, yeah.
especially
It
with
is.
pharmaceutical costs going up. And
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. I think you might see the privatization as, I mean, Mark Cuban's doing a heck of a job, at least with his I think it's called something plus 5+ or no.
yeah, I saw the pharmacy
Yeah.
that he opened up.
Yep.
right?
Yep. He's basically trying to just keep a 5%, keep just enough to operate it as a business, basically. And it's just completely changing the game in that arena. And I'm hoping that he inspires other, billionaires that have the mindset of, hey, I made it through capitalism, but I'm not greedy. And I believe in I believe in civic responsibility, which is creating ways for the quality of life to be fair and affordable for all that live here. And I think that hopefully will change the industry of healthcare. Is such a crazy one with the insurance. It's that relationship between insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, and the health industry. And that is a major, it's probably I would say out of many things that our country is should be shameful about, that's one of them.
At this point, I have also started telling, I preach it. It's less expensive to be preventative
Yeah.
and focusing on preventative care
Yeah.
rather than hoping you don't get something,
Yeah.
getting it, and having to treat it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to really just double check
Yeah.
that you're being healthy, doing good practices,
Yeah.
staying a little active,
Yeah.
whether it's lifting boxes or doing a walk,
Yeah. Something.
if you're walking to your mailbox, walk past your mailbox.
Yeah,
or
right.
Walk back.
Take a loop around the neighborhood. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
little things will add up. But
Yeah, oh, yeah.
with our society just being, TV, video games,
Yeah.
driving,
Yeah.
working in an office,
Yeah.
it's a time cramp. Like
Yeah.
I personally
Yeah.
don't have the time to go to a gym.
Yeah.
Like I
right.
think, people say make time, and it's like,
Yeah, but it's
I want to spend that time sleeping. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I want us, like last night, my wife and I were like, we were looking at each other. It's like 9 p.m. and we're like,
Yeah.
should we eat some peanuts or something? Like we're just hanging out, and
Yeah.
I'm so bored.
Yeah.
I'm not bored, but like
I know what you mean.
I would
You
really
that downtime between
appreciate
bedtime. It's like, I don't
really
know.
appreciate some peanuts or some ice cream right now. Like I love peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's really hard. We have a very strict cutoff at 8 p.m.
Oh, you got to put, that's smart.
food.
That is smart.
At least your body can
Takes
chill out
time.
until breakfast. And
Right.
start burning what you're working on.
Yeah.
But before that,
Yeah.
gosh, I was in the fridge like you, or I don't know, like you.
Oh, like me. Yeah, you can say
At
it.
like midnight.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Not that late.
I'm
but
about to go to
yes.
bed. Maybe I
Right.
have like a
Just a small little this, that.
handful of peanuts or something.
Yeah, that's funny. I do pistachios. Pistachios is my
Pistachios and a
my
cup of milk.
snack of choice, and I have a big, one of those 2-3 pound things from Sam's Club, and I like to shell them and throw them in the cup while I'm working on my computer. I just got a standing desk for the first time, like about, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and definitely wish I got that a long time ago. I mean, I work on my desk so much, on my computer so much, that the first day of standing there for 7-8 hours, I was sore. Like the next day, and
Does it go up and down, or is it just up?
It goes up and down.
Okay.
But I literally made it a mission for the first week of having it to leave it up for the whole week, no sitting down. And then the second week came, and I was like, okay, pretty much stand up the whole day, but I'll sit just for certain things that I'm doing where I'm needing more use of all the screens and stuff like that. Because I have 3 screens for what I do. So when I'm working on like website design, I'll stand. If I'm doing social media designs, I'm sitting, So I'm trying to, but just doing that, it does, like you said, it makes a difference. Taking small actions throughout your normal day routine. It's hard to create a new routine like a gym. I'm guilty of it. It's like a year. I still pay for the dang membership, which is Planet Fitness. I haven't gone in like 7 months. And when I went for like 2 weeks straight thinking I was a champion. But prior to that 2 weeks, when I went in, I couldn't find my membership card. I hadn't been there for so long. So I give them my ID. I'm like, yeah, I haven't been here in a while, so I need another card, I guess, or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, you haven't been here in 367 days. I'm like, wow, thanks for saying it out loud like that. But yeah, you're right. And so here I am on another stint. It's probably
Once a year.
Yeah. So I'm like, but if you can incorporate an active lifestyle into your existing routine and make some hard choices, like don't eat after 8 o'clock, making those little changes you can make over a long period of time, big impacts. And that's what I think that I forgot, because I used to be skinny and I could eat anything I wanted for a long, long time. It wasn't until right around probably 30 or 25 to 30, I started noticing I could gain weight. And from that point forward, that journey of the last decade, I'm up 25, 30 pounds from what I was 10 years ago. And so for me to have any expectation to lose it before 10 years is really aggressive thinking, but it'd be nice to, right? It's possible, but we got to make
you lose the pounds and the fat, not in the gym, but in the kitchen.
Right. I believe that. Yeah,
that's
good. I like that.
And food choice is huge. I love a good burger.
Yeah.
And today is National Hamburger Day.
Oh, there you go. That's right.
And I'm like, honey, we should eat some burgers today.
Yes.
She's like, no, we have spinach. And I'm like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's those choices
that will choices. Yeah,
make or break.
Yep, it's true.
When I was in college, I didn't have a kitchen. I was in a dorm.
Yeah, me too.
So it was go to PLCU or Thingy's and grab
fried popcorn,
double
chicken,
cheeseburger with jalapenos on top, or Uber some, Thai fried chicken, something,
Yeah.
And it's like, and we have so many options.
Oh yeah,
and unfortunately, Kingman does not.
Right.
Kingman I found is a food desert.
It is a lot. Yeah. I came from Portland, Maine, where it's like food.
getting better.
Yeah, it is getting
Especially
better.
with places that are opening around town.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, Kingman was just a strip of fast food joints.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And it was really bad.
Yeah.
You either had, there was nothing quick you could get that was
Right.
a healthy choice.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
devastating. And
Yeah.
if you go to the grocery store, if you're in the aisles, you're not
Yeah.
you're getting some stuff that you should not be getting.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I don't enjoy a good chip,
Right.
something,
But
but
your cart should be more full of the produce sections.
the fresh stuff around the
the
edges,
fresh things
that
on
doesn't
the
have
edges.
preservatives in it.
Yes.
Our
Yeah.
food industry has poisoned us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, the list of ingredients,
it's getting weirder.
it's hard to find stuff that doesn't have palm oil in it.
Yeah.
It's hard to find stuff that has crazy chemical compounds that you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
You just say, oh, it's
Just a preservative.
just sodium bicarbonate or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Whether it's baking soda or whether it's some preservative or
Right.
whether it's some side effect from food coloring.
Right.
No, you
Right.
can't know because
Yeah.
there's so much. I mean, unless you're a nutrition major or doing relentless research on your own,
You just don't know. You just do
or
what you're
finding
presented.
stuff out on Facebook,
Yeah.
you just don't know.
Yeah.
And it's
It's like the Truman Show. That's
long-term effects.
the Eddie Harris says when they're like, don't you feel bad, or that his whole life Truman doesn't know that he's in this show and that it's all fake, and he's like, people believe in the reality that's presented to them, and it was like a really great quote out of that whole movie, because we live in kind of a world where when you go to the store and you pick up a box, your assumption is that it is okay for you, and then it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And you go through life like that until tragedy happens. And it's like the old frog in a pot of water thing, or if a frog is in a pot of water,
Same comment.
yeah, and you turn on the heat, it'll sit there and boil.
We got comfortable.
Yep, we did. Yeah.
And now we're being taken for a ride.
Yep.
And whether it's pharmaceuticals or
Yeah.
just the way that our government is now, or whatever.
Yeah.
Name your
true.
industry.
Yeah.
It is.
And the frog analogy is most evident. We are all the frogs currently boiling in the water, but you can get a good sense, and you're internationally traveled, so you see it more than most people do. I only see it vicariously through Jim Hinckley, who deals with a lot of international people that come to Kingman. They're the frog that's jumping into the boiling water, and like, whoa, 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 and jumping out, right? So the analogy is, I think it was an Al Gore film about the environment. It was like a frog will literally boil itself to death. It won't jump out. But if you take a frog and he jumps into boiling water, he'll jump out of it. Some humanity just needs a reactive way before something drastically happens. International people like Norway or even Germany, when they see how our healthcare system is, our food chain supplies, the grocery stores, they can't believe how processed our markets are. They're the frog that comes in and says, whoa, what the heck? And they jump right out. They don't know how it's like that here.
I think last week I saw something going viral around social media, and it was two identical items, and they were comparing. I think it was like a bag of chips or something.
Oh, one from a different country and one from here.
I think one was from the Europe,
Yeah.
and one was the U.S.
Yeah.
And because the EU has a huge ban,
Yeah.
a blanket ban on so many things,
Yeah.
it was half the ingredients.
Yeah. Yeah. They say that our bread doesn't even classify as bread in Europe.
Yeah.
American bread is not, because of the ingredient list, is not.
Don't get me wrong, bro. I've been to so many other countries. Everyone has
Yeah, they have their pros and cons.
pros and cons.
Yeah.
I am so grateful and so glad to be here.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm invested. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like, if this doesn't work out, I'm not moving.
Right.
This is
Right.
where I'm raising my family.
Yeah.
So I need it to be as good. That's why I'm griping about it. That's why
Well, that's why
I want to make a difference.
You got on
That's why.
city council. You're turning from just a business owner into a civic leader, and there's a big transition point that happens when that happens, and it's because you are trying to now make your community better around you bring up the quality of life through decisions that you can help affect and impact on people in the area. What you're doing on Friday, just something as small as cleaning up a strip of road, bringing a bunch of people out there, picking up trash and garbage to make your area look pretty, is a huge gesture to your care to the area. You could just sit out here, come to work every day, do your thing and export. You could do that, but you're taking more, I would say, I guess you're growing your roots more than ever by starting to take on Civic. And you're young to do that.
The reason I got involved,
Mm-hmm.
my first glimpse of local politics and local government was when the big aquifer and water and farming debacle started.
Yeah.
And it got crazy. Like the thought is that there's places around here that have bigger wells than the city.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And not just one, but multiple.
Yeah.
And they pull more water daily than the city does as a whole.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
With no limits.
Right.
With no, and you have little farmers like Cella Winery out there growing a drought-resistant crop, grapes, on a tiny parcel, like 5 acres.
Yeah.
With family funds,
Mm-hmm.
Only being able to dig down X amount of feet.
Yeah.
Being pushed out by giant, non-local, corporate, international farms.
Yeah.
Who have unlimited money.
Yeah.
Dig as deep as they want.
Yeah.
Making us and everyone else dig deeper because the water level is low.
Yeah, right.
So now Cella Winery has to find out ways to figure out how to invest into their well, right? You see how it goes?
Yeah.
And it all came to me, and I was like, we don't have we sold our river rights back in the 80s, I think. And that's the biggest difficulty for me. So excuse me if anything's off. Ever since I got involved, and there was some weird stuff. I was appointed in October, and I wasn't involved before then, really.
Right.
But after I got appointed, they basically turned on the fire hose and said, "Hey,
look at this. Yeah.
Like this. Like so if I get any stats or any facts wrong, please.
That's all right.
Correct me
Yeah.
or my apologies. But we need to make sure, like that's what freaked me out. We're at the mercy of these farmers with no limits. And what happens when we don't have water? Does that community just perish?
Right.
What happened to that? What was it? Camp Verde? No, there was a community outside of Scottsdale that basically had its water turned off, and they had to start hauling water.
Oh, geez, Louise.
And it's like,
that's scary.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
We're 35,000 people. Where are we going to get water if it's not from our aquifer?
Right.
So we need to make sure that we fight the fight. Like we can't just let them roll over us.
Right.
So I'm grateful. Whether it was Travis pushing and fighting for us, or whether it's the state government that's putting in these INAs or whatever, the fight needs to be done, and we need to have Kingman at the heart of it.
Right.
We can't be treated the same as a community with no farmers or a community with river rights.
Right.
We are a very unique situation.
Right.
So
we don't have any rivers or lakes coming through us.
Cities and town, like the cities, the big metropolitan cities, shouldn't have so much say over how we treat our own rural activities. And I think there's a promising efforts being made. That SB 1221 that was talking about making a board, a water management board. I believe that one didn't go through. So, and once again, correct me if I'm wrong, or my apologies if I am wrong. But yeah, no, I mean,
it's true.
That's where I got involved.
Yeah.
After that, once I got into it, you see everything that Kingman's had to deal with in the past, whether it was robbery from the Treasury back in the 05s or the 12s, and having Tina Moline basically save it and bring it to where it's at now.
Yeah.
Or the dark shroud or fog that was over the inner workings of our local city of Kingman government during past city managers' times.
Yeah. And the airport authority, getting that kind of
Getting the airport back. Like everything has been recovery,
right?
Basically until now.
Yeah, yeah.
Money wasn't being spent. So one of my biggest goals, even if it's for 1 year, is to basically instill as much as I can as one person, as much government transparency as possible.
Yeah.
If you have a question about something, you should not be afraid to ask anyone that's on council.
Right.
About, hey, what's going on here? And that council member should be able to talk to the department head, the city manager, and be like, and hey, this is the concern. What can we do about it?
Right.
And get that person a valid response.
Right. It might not always be what people want to hear,
but they need to know a
but
reason.
they need to know, yeah, exactly.
Like if it's like this for a reason, it can't just go ignored.
Right.
If there's potholes, right? So we've been grilling our roads department about potholes. What's going on? Like we've been getting complaints. We've been asking about it. And we found out like, hey, money hasn't been spent in the past. It's now being spent. There's been supply issues with getting
the materials that they need.
Not just materials, yes, but also prices and budgets. But also the biggest one that I've been shocked and surprised with is vehicles and fleet services.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like chassis. Our chip seal that happened recently, back at the beginning of this year, was a huge step. But instead of seeing it as a huge step forward, it was, hey, and rightfully so. I am not. Again, I agree. I also had chips from the chip seal. Come up, hit my car.
Oh yeah.
Or cause dust, and I agree 100%. That was an issue. But we couldn't get an elevator sweeper, to pick up all the chips after the fact.
Oh, okay.
And now we have one. So now they've been running.
So I didn't know that.
So that's one issue. Potholes. We have a list of potholes that are submitted by our constituents, and Bob recently told us that our list only has 2 on it right now.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. Like,
I can't remember. Is there an app that people can do that through, or is it you just do it through the website? I can't remember.
I believe there was a link on the website to send in a picture of a pothole with an address, and it would be added to a list.
Okay.
I can confirm for you after.
Yeah.
But I also heard something about that. Once again.
But yeah.
Though it's been 6 months, it still feels like I'm drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Another adamant issue that I'm adamant about, besides just government transparency, is so our business here has always had an older clientele, and we've become great friends with them, and we hear what their lives are like.
Yeah.
And whether it's living off Social Security, living off retirement, it's very evident that Kingman is a retirement town. With that being said, Kingman's median age is over 50. It's 52, I believe.
Yeah.
Along with the county.
Right.
When the national median average is around 37.
Yeah. I actually looked up some of this info. Yeah.
But
I'm going.
It was a matter of
national average is basically 39.
Okay.
And our median was about 50, I believe. I think I had. Oh yeah, maybe it was 50.
Should say
right. Put it on here though.
But basically, Kingman had this insanely,
which is a big difference, a decade difference.
It's a huge spike. It's a huge spike.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at not just my clientele, but also all of my tradesmen, my plumber, my electrician,
your workforce. Yep.
They all have grayer hair.
Yeah, about 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to be evident and aware that this is coming. We can't just hope it doesn't come because it's coming.
Right.
We can't just say, oh, well, it's here. Now what are we going to do?
Right.
I mean, that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Right.
So my other goal for, even if it's just 1 year, I hope to get reelected. But if I don't, my 1 year is to make sure that everyone in city, whether it's department heads or council members knows that this is here and it's gonna happen. By 2028, 10,000 Americans will be turning 80, not 65, 80 per day.
Yeah.
By 2030, the entire generation will be 65 plus.
Yeah.
It's going to put a strain on social services, healthcare services, insurance services, like Medicare. And it's going to cause a big cultural change too.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's religion, commodities. My generation doesn't like knickknacks.
Oh, right.
My generation doesn't almost have the money for knickknacks.
Yeah.
There's going to be a huge transfer of wealth.
Yeah.
The entire world as we know it is going to shift.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we take it in stride and make sure it's a better shift, whether it's passing down experience from our elders to our younger kids. I'm very, very happy to hear that Gen Z is being called the tool belt generation because they're the ones that are going to trade school rather than universities and colleges.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to be the ones picking up, the plumber's wrench or the lineman's belts or whatever, they're going to be the ones that are doing those trade work that we need.
Yeah. I like how you kind of broke it into those 5 pillars, monetary crisis, housing market changes, healthcare strain, workforce shortages, and economic impact. Pretty much is a collection of all of these things and how it's going to change, like you said, spending habits to, how do communities face these challenges too? And you kind of threw out a few ideas, and at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of people see this stuff. It's kind of like the frog in the pot. They're kind of waiting for something to actually happen to force change. And what you're trying to say is, like we're talking about our diets, why don't we do some preventative stuff? And why don't we start making some changes now and not wait 5 to 10 years when we really won't have the tools or definitely not the resources to be able to remedy it. If we start now, we may have the resources by then. We may be prepared to do it.
So
that's a big thing.
One of the absolutely 100%. Definitely make it aware, identify the problem so you can solve the problem, right? Mm-hmm. But also on top of that, like, people are living longer.
Yeah, exactly.
They're outliving their savings. They're outliving their retirement fund. They're going from, a full-time income to living just off Social Security, where they're working at the age of 65, trying to do supplemental income onto their retirement or Social Security.
Yeah.
So average Social Security check is $1,735.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, like, I haven't met anyone that has a $1,700 Social Security check yet. I've met people with $700. I've met people with $900.
Right.
But I haven't met one of the better off
tier.
And that, if they say that's an average, I want to know what the higher end is too.
Yeah, true.
I mean, our area here is more around the $1,000 range.
Yeah.
And husband, wife, 65 plus couple. What's that? $2,000 a month. You have one payment.
Yeah.
One house payment. You're good luck. Like, you have to work.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's driving Uber, or working at Walmart, or doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad that they're one health crisis away from being in a financial crisis. I mean, it won't stop. It doesn't stop.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely something, with your plan of kind of your this was kind of like your eye-opening study. What would be a first type of step into trying to create preventative measures on by itemizing these major sectors of the issue? How do you start the process of tackling it, even if it's just one rung at a time in the beginning? Okay, hey, we need to look at our projections on how much this, just the, like you mentioned in your transportation for seniors, which I know, Kingman area transport has the vehicles. Are they going to have to get more? Are they going to have to be ADA accessible? Is there going to be changes there? Routes expansion, drivers for the vehicles? What's the first step in trying to identify and then actually quantify in dollars and cents what it's going to take to be prepared for this type of thing?
The first step.
Awareness, I think, was
On the private side, on as you as an individual would be preventive, whether that's doing things that you need to do to avoid having a fall,
right.
whether it's you starting to talk to your friends and family about moving in
Right.
and putting your pride aside and giving up the keys so you don't have a crash,
Right.
or just cutting that expense out altogether. There are steps that can be taken to be preventative. Handlebars in restrooms, simple stuff. But it's not, that won't solve the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is another thing that's more on the public side. The problem can be alleviated a little bit with highlighting your resources. Back in the day, it used to be a village. We used to take care of each other.
Right.
We used to be there for our parents and make sure that our parents moved in with us when they needed to, or be there for them when they needed us to be there. A lot of people, I mean, as you know, America's spread out. We're all over the place. Like, I have brothers in Turkey. I have a brother in Utah, in Idaho. Idaho. I have another brother that is, I think, in Greece at this moment. But
traveling brother. Yeah, my mom's out in New Hampshire. That's a couple thousand miles away.
But it's really key that system's not there anymore. So we need to know what is there for us. Hopefully by the end of June at the latest, and hopefully sooner, I'm going to be having a new section on my website.
Oh, cool.
KingmanVoice.com. That'll be highlighting resources, and it's basically going to be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
For if you're looking for veteran services, if you're looking for mental health services, if you're looking for food services, and kind of getting in touch with these organizations. And it's going to be an ongoing project that's going to start out with just a list and will eventually evolve into hopefully who knows what more.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic about it. I think we have all these great programs around Kingman and around Mojave County that do amazing work.
Yeah.
Awesome work. Hats off to them.
We just need people to know about it.
But you need to know about it. And I think it would be a lot stronger if it was pinpointed.
Yeah.
Like if they all had, collaboration, and if people held hands and made sure that they were, provide, like, hey, if they know about each other at least.
Yeah.
So like, hey, if you came to, let's say, Cornerstone Mission, but you had something else, maybe they could send you someone, because not every organization can be an in-house, organization like JVC or something where they take care of you from housing to food or a job. Yeah. But there should be a list, a reliable list that you can go to that has a list of resources for you, without any stipulation.
And I wonder, because everything is always like a balance of private and public entities working together to solve community issues, right? Or community challenges, I guess would be a better way to say it. It's not an issue. It is an issue, but it's more of a challenge. I think that your observation of, and it's funny because it's called Silver Tsunami. It's a large effect of something that's happening that's going to make a major impact. And it's not just here. It's the whole country. It's a whole generation of people born within, I think, I can't remember how many years it was. Was it a 10-year period?
I believe it was from 1950 to
1946 to 1964. So a pretty large, 19-year period. That's a lot of people that were all born during that post-war era. And every community in the entire country is going to face the exact same issue. So I think identifying it on a, private and public sector level, because resources for a city are generated from tax. That's just the way the government works, federally and state, county, city. So the resources being everything from public safety to, to your water quality, to your infrastructure of your roads and signage, and including everything from marketing, so people come and spend money in your community. There's a bunch of different avenues of responsibility that a city has in order to take care of its community, to have a certain quality of life for its residents. And what this is identifying is that we have a huge sector that's going to be going into an age level that's going to be really making it a challenge if the government, as a public side of it first, were to not make changes in its revenue allocation to be prepared for an increased expense need of its community, we will fall short. So, and you did identify, well, maybe we could come up with some type of tax. Like, is there any creative methods to go along with some type of form of tax or an existing tax where it's currently being allocated? I'm not sure, to be able to, and is there a way to quantify the actual dollar cost that it's going to be, from,
I mean, so
because we know how many residents we have, we know how many percentage are of an age group that we know is going to be, so there's got to be a way to quantify.
Let's say, what would be the easiest solution that I can think off the top of my head in 3 minutes would probably be some sort of seniors home, right? Bad ideas come to mind, abandonment or resentment come to mind when you think of that. I mean, just assume all daily care is taken care of, all medical appointments are arranged,
right,
and you have a roof over your head, a place to sleep. That's been given over to private industry.
Yeah,
they are losing, I think last I read, in South Dakota, they were losing $48 per patient per day.
Whoa.
And they don't have any desire to, it's not a profitable business.
Right.
So in the state of Dakota, South Dakota, I think I have a site, but I can correct myself if I'm wrong. I think there was 17, just last year, 17 nursing homes closed in like a month.
Oh yeah, you had mentioned that.
And that's insane.
Yeah,
like
60% of nursing home care is covered by Medicaid. Like that, you're right. It's nursing homes losing an average $35 a day. Medicaid residents have witnessed closure of 7 facilities between 2016 and 2019.
Okay, so 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
yeah, we should be growing them based on the demand,
and then
not closing them.
As they close, now you have a lot of more people going into a Wild West health industry,
right?
Trying to do their own appointments and do their own services.
Yeah.
In a health economy that's already strained.
Yeah.
Not many people want to be nurses right now. Not many people want to deal with.
And it's really positioned against you in a lot of ways.
Just the nursing alone, just having to deal with that side of people. For what it's worth. I mean, bless every nurse out there.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, 2 years ago, we were at the hospital for a birth, and I was so thankful for all the nurses there.
Yeah.
I know, I have an idea of what they go through on a daily. I have friends that are nurses, some in senior homes, and the things that they have to deal with is staggering sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, thank you for being a nurse.
Right.
They should never be forgotten.
Oh yeah. Is there anything we can learn from are there any other countries that we're aware of that are already taking very proactive measures? I know that technically that generation was more of a US, the baby boomer generation. Did that happen anywhere else in the world? I actually don't know.
Sure, it did.
Because I know that I know that a lot of it was here, but I'm wondering if that, and it's going to affect everybody, I guess, in the end, no matter what. There'll be some type of trickle down. But how does other countries handle senior health
crazy as it was here?
I don't think so either.
If you think about it, the U.S. is blessed to be on the other side of the ocean from all the conflicts. We don't have a war ripping through our cities. We don't have, we didn't have a nuclear bomb dropped on our biggest industrial centers.
Right.
So we just went right through 40s and 50s.
Yeah. Just popping out kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a time of great prosperity. Everything was going good. You had the nuclear family in your mind.
Right.
Right. Like
yeah,
you're
probably right.
I would be pleasurably shocked if someone else had that sort of prosperity back then.
Yeah. Do you know of other systems around the world that have good healthcare systems for seniors and infrastructure built around your aging population
Do I know of any?
that maybe would handle it better than what we see here?
I mean,
You know, Japan has a good.
Japan has a different environment. It has a different climate. It has a different population size.
Yeah.
It has a different geography and
So there's
even
so many different
land area.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the crazy thing with the U.S.
Yeah.
The only place that I can really relate to the U.S. is the European Union.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I treat the U.S. like the European Union, you would have to treat every country as its own state.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You make that correlation.
Yeah.
So, what, we just assume that some states have better healthcare than other states?
Yeah. I wonder.
Are we? I mean, and that's kind of
Because even with Canada, they got
the abortion discussion that happened recently. Like, I am very adamant that I should kind of stay out of the conversation. I am very apolitical when it comes to picking a side. I think my wife or your wife or any mom out there or any woman out there, her say should be worth a little bit more than my say in this conversation.
Right.
Because I mean, I'll never experience that.
Right.
I don't know what it would ever be like
Right.
to have that looming over your head.
Right.
But when places ban abortion completely, and what ends up happening, like I heard this story in Idaho where this lady went into labor or something. There was a situation where they couldn't do the abortion.
Yeah.
And instead they airlifted her to Washington and they performed an abortion there. And it's like,
Oh my goodness.
did you just add all that
Trauma.
torture and trauma and a $200,000, whatever, $100,000
Right.
airlift bill
Just
for her to have an abortion there? Like, that blows my mind. That shouldn't be how a system works.
Right.
And that's how you see the difficulties that you have to deal with
Yeah.
when you're doing state by state policy.
Right.
Is when you can just go over the border and
Yeah.
do something there instead.
Yeah.
There needs to be less games played, and
I know it. Yeah.
there has to be term limits
Yeah.
that make it so that people aren't able to line pockets.
Yeah.
There needs to be we need to figure out something with the health insurance industry so that prices aren't negotiated and fixed for insurance companies, so people hit maximum
Right.
amounts before they even get anything done.
Yeah.
We need to make it so that going to the nurse or a doctor isn't a dreaded event where you're like, oh my God, what's the health insurance? Or what's the bill going to be?
Right.
Um,
Yeah. $9 ibuprofens.
So when it comes to, do I have a solution as a single person?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, I can't say I have a silver bullet to this problem.
Yeah.
It has to be a community effort.
Yeah.
It has to be bigger than local.
Right.
And it has to be like unanimous.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Which like I said,
It's
I'm
really hard to
optimistic.
do, but
America is
Yeah.
a wonderful country. America tends to get stuff done when the going gets tough. I'm a believer in that. Like, I am very optimistic that we are going to fix the system. We are going to do this. And it just takes the right guy.
Yeah.
I mean, from the top down, like, someone has to step up and be the leader
Yeah.
so that others can follow and not, this two-sided coin flip game that we
Yeah. I know. Why does everybody feel like they have to be on a side? That's one thing that I've always.
and it's crazy because it feels like it's only on the national level. Like, I have friends on both sides.
Isn't that
When
weird?
we talk and we sit at dinner, it's fine. We can have a discussion, and it's not like they're calling me, a racist or something.
Right.
I
think that there's just so much of this entertainment push that, with
the tribalism.
TV that, they're trying to get the views and the audience attention. And the only way to do that is to create polarity in every topic so that you could get hyper overreaction to every point of view, which creates anxiety and interest and viewership, which is horrible. It happens to us with the news all the time. When we, on a news side of things, when we have 60,000 people that follow our page and we reach hundreds of thousands of accounts every single month, we've had months where we've reached over close to 2 million unique Facebook accounts in 1 month. And the topics, if you drilled them all down to the ones that did the most, were trauma, drama, or polarity. And the ones that you would think.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
I've never heard that before.
Oh yeah, I say it every time I talk about it because those are the ones that always and the old school way of saying it was the ambulance chasers. Those were the paparazzi style type of stuff, the TMZs of the world. Unfortunately, human nature is intrigued and interested in things that they A, don't understand, B, that they find very shocking, C, that they don't think that they would do themselves, but somebody else is doing it so they can live vicariously through the moment. And because of that human trait of interest and intrigue, the part of your brain that gets most activated happens when those things occur. When you drive by an accident or there's a house on fire and it draws your attention in, not because of ooh, wow, but just, oh my gosh, the brain reacts in a way that it causes you to take more action than you ever would. Another good example of that is reviews on restaurants. You'll get more negative reviews than positive reviews because people, when they go to a restaurant, there's an assumption that you're going to meet their expectation, which when that expectation is met by a good meal, your hormone level, your brain activity stays relatively the same during that transaction because it was meant to be that way, that you wouldn't have gone there if you didn't expect it to be like that. Now, if your expectation is not met and there's a deficit of expectation to reality or a shock value of something, it creates a hyperactive moment in your brain, which causes you to take more action. There goes the negative reviews. So humanity is a weird.
In your childhood, you probably had the same moment where we're all like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to start a news channel, but it's only good news.
Yeah.
Like we've all heard, like, why is there a good news channel?
Did you know that during COVID, John Krasinski from The Office?
Yeah.
Okay. He started a positive news channel. It was called Some Good News.
Okay.
He actually ended up, after about a year of doing it himself, every single day, I think he did it, where he was highlighting all the positive things in the world. He ended up selling it or giving it to another entity to continue to run. But he did it, and it did work. I think that in desperate times, people will finally give the attention to positive things that are happening. But unfortunately, human nature, take the path of least resistance. They automatically go towards trauma drama because that hyperactivity, that hyper emotional state, the reason why scary movies are popular, the reason why slapstick humor is popular, these hyper moments that create that is what seems to cause action the fastest. So that's why you see it in the news. For us, I would rather never ever publish anything that has that to me is negative or traumatic unless there's something that is a community need to see it, right? So if someone's house just burnt down and there's an article that comes in from the fire department about this home that got burned to the ground, which is horrible. Is there a newsworthy value to the community to know about it? I don't know. Is there? How? I mean, and if there was, explain it to me. Versus an active shooter, there is a public need. People need to know that something traumatic is happening because they need to take shelter. So there's this weird line where, at least on my side of the world as a publisher of content, is where if I'm the one that makes the decision, what should be, that is published or not published, because of my own personal perspective, am I doing what I don't like other people's to do? And because it's my judgment call. So it's really hard. It's a very hard, to not apply a filter on news is really hard to do. But that's where this type of change in municipalities, like you said, trying to find the unanimous voice of the public to make a decision as a community, not just as an individual, has always been, to me, in my mind, probably the hardest thing about politics, being on commissions, being on councils, being on boards of any organization. It's always been a really big obstacle. And we may find that we will have to wait till we hit crisis before action is taken. Or we may find that, somehow you strike a chord on the way you deliver the message that can cause action. But I think that the chord that gets struck has to be almost done in the same way. Not necessarily trauma, not necessarily drama, entertainment, maybe. Maybe there's a way to make a fun play on this to draw attention to the issue. Maybe there's a way to do it where it's extremely exciting and
I
vicarious.
think the biggest thing
Out
for
of your way.
this is it's going to start affecting everyone.
Yeah.
And it's going to become very visual, I think, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Because bringing it all back down to the silver tsunami, as people outlive their savings,
Yeah.
or they start relying on their social security, and that one bad month happens,
Right.
you're going to see a lot of people combined with PTSD, or,
Oh, yeah.
things that our veterans have gone through, or combined with
something-
mental health,
Yeah.
combined with, just society being the way it is.
It'll be
Health,
something that people can't avoid.
you're going to get a lot of people that are calling more
Right.
other services, non-police services. We're going to have more homelessness.
Right.
You're going to have a lot more edginess. I think it's going to affect a social eco fabric of our society,
Yeah.
where people just are more stressed and more tense than usual.
Yeah.
It's going to cause desperation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I just want to conserve
Yeah.
our little community here.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we've been going for a while.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
But yeah, I think that's definitely really cool. And we published it on the B. I think the Minor published it too, I believe you said.
Yeah, the
Yep.
Standard as well.
And the Standard. So make
And there's
sure.
going to be hopefully a part 2 in June.
Very cool.
I'm working on it right now. And that one's going to be kind of like that question of how we can kind of step in front of it.
Yeah.
And then a conclusionary part 3
Yeah.
in the end as well.
Yeah. Very cool.
So-
Good. Where it's like now we can take action on some stuff. And
If this is all I accomplished in my 1 year
so, yeah.
as an appointed city council member,
Yeah.
great.
Success.
Yeah, success. And if I get to continue,
Yeah.
then I'll make sure that it's still at the forefront.
Yeah.
I also plan on, being as, I'm not in a Congress office that's
Right.
just, raking in money or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not attached to this in any financial way.
Right.
Besides my $8,000 a year that's
Right.
given as a stipend.
Yeah.
This is a matter of me serving friends,
Yeah.
family, people I've known since 1996, since
Yeah.
I lived here.
Yeah.
All the friends I went to school with that still live here, they see me and they know that where
Yeah.
I'm at.
Yeah.
So this is more than just,
Yeah.
just a regular position. This is me
Right.
serving my community, my
Right.
family,
Yeah.
my friends and neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is actually really nice, to be honest. Like people in city council or on county boards, sometimes you get somebody who's been in the industry and they've retired and they have different levels of background and what they've done. I love seeing someone your age, your education, and your literally roots in the business community of what you're doing, like sitting in a place like that. I think those are the people that really make the most positive action on councils, boards, just because you are still in the day-to-day of it all. You're in the midst of stuff. It's, I'm sure, really hard for you to always be carving out time because you are literally working all the time and running your business. So I think that people who've seen already what you've done there and see what you're trying to do will appreciate that.
And then can I just kind of highlight
Yeah.
this council that's currently sitting is one that inspired me to become a part of it.
Oh, cool.
This council as a whole, they have disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to talk through disagreements,
Mm-hmm.
and they're able to do what's best for Kingman. If you watch the council meetings, you'll see them disagree.
Right.
But everyone has Kingman's best interests at heart.
Right.
Kingman is primed at a position to make it or break it. Really is. I mean, and we've finally, with the hiring of Tim Walsh
Mm-hmm.
and getting our city manager, who's also local and
Yeah.
bred and one of the most studious and working people, work-driven and merit-based people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Now that he's in, we can finally start to really rock and roll.
Yeah.
Before this, it was clunky.
Mm-hmm.
You were missing, and we're still missing a few spots through the roster, whether it's
Yeah.
development services or in the fireman, or in the fire department,
Yeah.
or in the police department.
Yeah.
But they're filling them.
Yeah.
and everything, the wheels are starting to turn,
Mm-hmm.
and the momentum's coming. And with the trade port corridor, with the FAA land release, with Rancho Santa Fe and Kingman Crossing, we are poised to explode.
Yeah.
And it all goes hand in hand with the silver tsunami.
Exactly.
With this explosion of prosperity that Kingman is hopefully destined for, we'll get new amenities, we'll get new dining, we'll get new shopping, we'll be able to attract more talent, whether it's in the trades or in the medical field or the health services department. Doctors and nurses will want to come here and help with our senior care. The city will make more sales tax.
Yeah, exactly.
More industry will come here, so more workers for Kingman, more jobs for Kingman, which means more sales tax, which means more money to spend on infrastructure or roads, or big projects like recreation centers. Kingman is truly in a make it or break it moment. And I am excited for
and having the addition of a direct fiber to fiber company that made an investment in our community is big too. You know, it was something that now we have a couple different high-speed providers to choose from, and the speeds of which they're able to provide opens up the entire tech industry in the United States for people who want to bring a business who is in need of direct fiber upload, download. They can either be remote workers that want to live in an area that has beautiful climate and proximity to all kinds of amenities, from hiking, biking, Wallapies, Havasu, river, Vegas. You're literally in the middle of it all,
right?
And you can work from home in an affordable place that has the tech backhaul that you need to do coders, AI developers, software engineers, remote workers for customer service. Like, there's so many opportunities that opens up this.
So being out here at this industrial park, it was the first thing to get hardwired with Allo and WeCom.
Oh, it's
and
so
that
nice.
Fiber giving you the options to choose. Before that, we were stuck at 4 megabytes per second.
Yeah, it's like,
and I tried everything from HughesNet to to Starlink.
Yeah, and
it was groggy. It was once this came in,
it's a whole different world.
It's night and day.
It's like a whole,
and it's it's unanimous across the board. The entire airport complex is like that across. This airport complex, this industrial park, is the second largest in Arizona.
Yeah,
outside of Maricopa County.
Yeah,
and then
with room to grow.
And that FAA release, our biggest problem here is we don't have land to give.
Right.
We don't have land to support. We have people knocking on the door.
Yeah.
We have opportunities lined up.
Yeah.
And this just made it that much more competitive.
Yeah.
This made it that much more of an asset.
Yeah.
Once everything starts rocking rolling, it's going to start rocking and rolling hard. Like, it's going to be a cool show.
Yeah, I think so too.
And you really nailed it on the head. Kingman is in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
You have one of the coolest cities in the world only an hour and a half away.
Right.
Where you can find the world's best dining,
everything,
best shows, or any shopping you want.
Yep.
You have the outdoors, whether it's 15 minutes up to the Wallapies, or 30 minutes to an hour to the river, or 2 or 3 hours to one of the coolest wonders in the world, the Grand Canyon.
1 hour, you can get an hour and 15 minutes. You get Grand Canyon West. Yep,
absolutely.
No, I mean, it's actually really amazing when you start mapping out. There's something that Jim Hinckley talks about a lot. He talks about it. He says inventorying your amenities is something that a lot of municipalities fail to do well. And when I say that inventorying your amenities, it's literally sitting there in a brainstorming session, coming up with everything there is to do in a 3 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour radius of your community, and identifying them, and then creating rich content around every single one of those, categorizing it as a specific amenity, and then taking that and making it into traditional standard paper, brochures, flyers, fold out magazines to take to expos, to digitally our tourism website is good. We made an improvement, I think, a year and a half ago or so, but there is so much more room that can be made there. There can be so much more immersive understanding of what we have in and around us, because what people love the most, I think, when you ask certainly your constituents, is they don't necessarily want Kingman to turn into a big city. I think that's a fairly unanimous thing. People don't like the idea of a big city, but they want the amenities of it. Well, when you live outside of them, you get that. And when you can keep your community growing at a pace and bringing in the people, the types of industries that bring in the professional employees, the staff, the amenities, that you can grow it at your own. We're at a trajectory kind of position right now where we can grow it in whatever way we want to do it. And by having the downtown infrastructure, having the high-speed internet with technology companies, supporting industry out here, we can grow it at the rate that we want to grow it, and we can be in the proximity of the best amenities on the entire planet, and we can attract more people to do the same at that level. And it's something that I think that is it's all possible. I mean, it's what company wouldn't want to come to an area like this when we have literally everything, and we have still small town feel, which is like probably one of the most sought after things. Like, I think I just saw a study recently about more people than ever over the last 12 months have moved out of big cities into suburban areas. Like, that's a sign. We are like that. We're a suburban area. When I lived in Portland, it was only 60 something thousand people, but still Boston was 2 hours away. We were a suburb of Boston. That's what we were called, Portland, Maine.
Oh, so, Portland, Maine.
Yeah, sorry.
Portland. I was like, what?
So we were considered a suburb, and we saw Portland kept on seeing more and more large companies like banks headquartering themselves in Portland to save from the Boston expense. And it grew Portland over 25 years into there's the most amount of professionals with college degrees per capita per square mile in the entire country, more than Washington, D.C. There's more attorneys in Portland. There's like legal firms that have 150 plus attorneys in one building that are now living in Portland because the cost effectiveness of living in there versus Boston. And they still have the amenities 2 hours away. We can start to develop, and you look at places like Portland, and I'm telling you, food, shopping, hiking, biking, natural. You have everything from your natural resources to your shopping, hardcore just shopping amenities and activities like minor league baseball, basketball. They have venues that bring in large entertainers like Laughlin. We have it all right in the middle of it all.
Yeah,
right here. So that's really exciting.
And you have multiple outlets of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you said, whether it's Laughlin or Bullhead or
just in
our
our
Lake
little
Havasu.
Yep.
Go to the river where you want.
Yeah.
Whether it's Phoenix or Vegas. But
Very
yeah,
cool.
Kingman is a place that I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
And it's got potential, and I mean, it's gonna grow whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bigger than it's ever been from today. This is the smallest it'll ever be.
Right.
And as long as we direct it and do it the way we dictate it to do, it'll do it nicely, I think.
Yeah.
It'll be what people are okay with.
Yeah.
And it won't, we just gotta make sure we don't let the thread slip.
Right, exactly. That's it. Yep. Cool. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We ate up almost 2 hours, so I know that, sorry.
Didn't even feel like it.
I know, it went by pretty quick. So, and people can go to, what's your website? You had a
So, for the store, it's import-corner.com.
Perfect.
There is a hyphen in the middle.
Yep. And learn more about what you're going through.
Yeah, and that's for our inventory and seeing what we got in stock. And then you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
We're always posting something new.
Yeah.
Join our newsletter if you want. And then for my Civic website, it's www.kingmanvoice.com.
Perfect. Kingman Voice.
And the same tag, Kingman Voice, on Facebook and Instagram.
Perfect.
Will lead to my council pages.
Yeah.
Those websites and those tags will still be up and running, even if I don't get elected.
Yeah.
I don't think. Why no? My goal is to, regardless of whether I win or lose my election, to keep these going because they are something that I'm very adamant about.
Yeah.
And they are something that are, they're going to be a list of resources.
Yeah.
And I hope to grow that.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not part of city council.
Right.
So, and you can always reach out to me, kingmanvoice@gmail.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right.